You can be surrounded by people all day long, Daphna. Lots of meetings, lots of conversations, a team that's looking to you for direction, yet still feel alone. This is one of the most common leadership phenomenons, yet we don't talk about it much.
Yeah. And that's why we're talking about it today, right? Because it's not just about that feeling of isolation. It's also about the weight of always having to be on, composed, capable, in control, having all the answers. When inside, you're really wanting to know that you can talk to someone who really gets you. So today, we're going to be having this courageous conversation about the loneliness of leadership and what it means to be carrying this.
Yes, we are going to unpack why loneliness shows up in leadership, how it hides behind busyness and success, and what it really means to find connection that feels safe and real, even at the top.
Yes, so let's get unfiltered.
Yeah, let's talk about this phenomenon. I know
And
you
I
and I
like,
have both worked with
yeah,
leaders that talk about this loneliness that they feel in their work days.
right. And I think we mentioned a little bit before we started recording this whole notion of loneliness at the top. And maybe that's a good place to start to say it's not only at the very, very top. We're not
Yeah.
only talking about the loneliness that if you're sitting at the top of the apex as CEO, founder, or whatever it may be, that you will feel actually in every layer of the organization when you're in charge of a team or a certain business unit or project, you might start to feel that loneliness. So maybe let's talk a little bit about what does this mean? What is this loneliness? So it can be at every layer of the organization, and it doesn't have to mean that you're only at the top. And that feeling of loneliness can be when you've made a transition or when you are feeling that you're running something or in charge of a lot of things, and all of a sudden people are looking at you and people
Yes.
are looking to see what do you think, what do you look like, what is your mood. So you
Yeah.
start to have this awareness of needing to maybe be more planned or more aware or more composed, more structured around how you're showing up.
Yes, I think this is an important point, Daphna, that it can happen at each of those transitions. We went from an individual contributor to a team leader. We're just a peer on the team, right? We're friendly with our teammates, and now we're the leader that got the management role, right? Or now we're becoming a leader of leaders, or now we're a leader of the business, right? And
Right.
there's this responsibility, there's this sense of I've got to know what to do here. People are looking to me. I can't have the same relationships that I had with these folks in the past. And it
Right.
can bring with it a feeling of loneliness.
Yeah. You know, as you were talking, I was also thinking that feeling of it's all up to me, that weight of responsibility of actually I'm in charge. If something goes wrong, it's all on me anyway. That is a big weight to carry, and that can feel very lonely because who's going to really understand it to that level?
Well, the buck stops with me,
Yeah.
right? So I and only I am the person who is ultimately responsible, right? You might have counterparts in your organization. There are other leaders in your organization, but you've got your team and your workload that you are responsible for.
I had a CEO that I worked with who would say to me, often he would say to me, at the end of the day, I am the one losing sleep at night because of the business and
Mhm.
no one else. People are coming and they're coming for a job and they are getting paid for it. And at the end of the day, they can go home. And I think and I do want to say,
Mhm.
as we're talking about this and trying to give a sense of what does this mean, it's not exactly true necessarily, but
Yeah.
it's the feeling that we hold with ourselves when we have a level of responsibility.
Well, definitely, it's why I do what I do. Because I know when leaders are doing their job well and they're caring about the people and they're caring about the work, there's a lot of doing and there's a lot of thinking and responsibility that comes
Right.
with that as well.
Yeah.
I think it's also, we've alluded to this, but I want to call it out specifically, Daphna, this persona or this professionalism or this portrayal that we've got it all together, that I'm your confident leader. You can believe in me. Please
Mhm.
feel good
Yeah,
about your work and the work that you're doing
yeah.
every day.
Right, right. I guess that's the other side of the coin of that I'm the one who will lie awake at night worrying about the business. So you can be rest assured, I've got this. I've got this handled. And then who do you talk to when you're feeling stressed? When you're feeling like, actually, I don't know if I've got it handled. I don't know if I'm making the right decision. I don't know if this is the strategy to follow. That feels very lonely because who do you talk to? Who can you really be vulnerable and open about some of your fears or uncertainty or worry?
Yeah, and Daphna, when we were preparing for this a little bit, because we like to have our conversations be unfiltered, so
Right.
we don't over prepare. We were liking it to the parent-child relationship, right? Of course, parents want to feel connected with their children, but there's also this idea that parents don't put all of their adult burdens onto the child. Like they might know that mom's stressed, right? Or there's a lot going on with her work right now, right? Or my kids have known when my family members have passed away, mom's dealing with grief right now. But there's a certain level that you share that and you create that connection. And so sometimes with team leaders, it feels like, okay, team members, please tell me as much as you feel comfortable telling me. Be open. I'm here to hear. And then can't quite feel like they can do fully the
Exactly.
same in return.
I love that you brought up the parenting analogy because I think it's very relevant here. Because what's beautiful about parenting is that we maintain connection and a very deep and loving connection with our children. And yet we still maintain an element of, we've got this. We are a safe, secure space and
Uh-huh.
home for our children.
Uh-huh.
Very similarly with leaders who, for me, that brings in that whole paradox of while we encourage leaders to be real and authentic and open and share what they can about what they're going through and how they're feeling, they need to do that with a sense of connection, because I think that's really important
Yes.
for the team, but
Yeah.
also with a sense of this is a safe place and I've got this handled. And that's a little bit of a paradox here because you can be open,
Uh-huh.
but not totally open with absolutely everyone all the time. I think that's the distinction here. It's not like, okay, I wear my heart on my sleeve wherever I go. It's actually be discerning about who, when, what, and how. And
Yeah.
that starts to build that kind of support system. And I know we don't really want to go there right now because there's
Yeah.
still quite a lot to discuss, but and we want to stay in that level of tension of what is
Yes.
this tension that this loneliness creates before we move into, okay, how do we move out of it? But I
Yeah.
think it's important to understand that for me, that paradox,
Yes. And the cost
the cost.
of this
Absolutely. Absolutely.
paradox. Yeah, feeling lonely has us feeling unsupported at times.
Yep.
We can feel the fatigue, the decision fatigue. All of those key decisions are on me as the leader. I've got to make them.
The pressure, I think there's huge pressure to bring your best, know the answers, make the right decisions, create the right strategies, set a vision. I think there's huge pressure, and that comes with a cost.
Yeah.
There's also physical cost. We've seen the research that says, first of all, we spoke about research as well. And there's plenty of research to say that more than 50% of executives and CEOs feel that loneliness and they feel that it impacts their performance.
Yeah.
And secondly, the physical and emotional impact is huge, whether it's burnout, depression, physical health, really
Yes.
literally ailments, heart disease, and all of those come with those pressures of feeling like you're very alone in the situation. Connection
Yes.
helps to build health, and we know that.
As we're talking about the impacts, the cost of this loneliness at the top, I'm like, I feel like then this becomes compounding, right?
Yeah.
Like, because when I'm feeling overwhelmed and I need to make decisions and I'm burnt out and the responsibilities with me, like I'll withdraw. Many folks faced with those kinds of pressures isolate. I got to put my head down. I got to
Right.
figure this out
Work
rather than,
harder. Yeah.
yeah, rather than having those be the moments that I reach out and connect
Exactly.
in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
instead, we're putting our foot on the gas even harder. I got to figure all this out by my lonesome.
I know. And I think that this is even an indicator that could raise a red flag for people that are experiencing maybe the loneliness, but aren't even maybe able to label it as loneliness. Something that's coming up for me is how would someone know that they're experiencing loneliness unless they're really feeling lonely? And maybe it's not an experience that everybody can connect to. But I do think that sometimes it's that exactly what you said, that level of isolation. I'm hunkering down, I'm working out harder, I'm putting in more hours, I'm busier than ever. Just take a moment and look at that. Do you really need to be in that space? Are you bringing people into your workspace? Are you sharing the load? Are you sharing the conversation? I think that's maybe an indicator of loneliness or a symptom
Yeah.
of loneliness. I'd love to look
Yeah.
at if there are any more of those, maybe. Like, what
Well,
are other?
it had me think about a giving support, getting support continuum, right?
Nice.
And how much are you giving support, listening, providing
Exactly.
ideas, helping to remove barriers for others, or just being with others' emotions and reactions? You're giving that support.
I love that.
How and who and from whom and where are you
Yeah.
getting
Getting it
support?
exactly when you're noticing you're on the giving end, the holding space, giving answers, making decisions, you're the one that everybody comes to. That's actually an indicator as well. And I had another one come up for me, which is
Yeah.
that feeling of no one really understands me. I think that is a
Mm,
very big one. People just don't get me. They don't get this. They don't get the pressure. They don't get what I'm doing. They don't get how much I'm responsible for. People just don't understand. I think that
mhm,
that's something that comes up for you as you going through
mhm.
your day to day. That's
Yes.
actually an indicator of that level of isolation that you might not be
I
noticing.
like that. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Because those feel like really real words that could go through our heads and very real words that I've heard from leaders sitting across from me. We can also check in with our energy, Daphna.
Mm.
Human beings have a natural sense of wanting to belong, right? Even though we talked about in our introversion episode that there's different needs
Yeah.
for processing out loud or spending time thinking and talking through with others. But we have a natural sense of wanting to belong as humans. And if we feel like we don't have our team or our community where we belong and where we can really show up our full selves and lean on others.
Yeah. And that actually is really also, I feel there's a bit of nuance there as well in terms of, yes, we want to feel that we belong, but when we've been promoted to a level of leadership or now we the CEO, we can't feel like we fully belong on some level. There's always a little bit of distance. So maybe there will be the company party where there's a barbecue and everybody comes together and it feels really good. But when you are leading a team, there's always that little bit of nuance of, do I really belong in this space? Can I really share what's going on for me? Or do I have to keep some of that back? And yeah, I mean, I often talk about the leadership gap because that's exactly what's there. It's sitting in where you are relative to where your team is. And there might be gap. I know in some companies it's bigger or smaller, and that's something to look at as well in terms of competence. But I'm not talking about the competence here. I'm talking about
Okay.
the feeling of being
Mm,
part of the team. You certainly can be, and you can create
okay.
that connection, but you're
Yeah.
also just a little bit separate.
Yes. And Daphna, you're having me think. I work with many leaders, specifically in fast-moving industries. The example I'm thinking of right now happens to be from a tech industry. Some of that gap is very much desired, created. I know many leaders who encourage their teams to have their team's channel without the
Without
leader
them.
on it,
Interesting.
right? I forget how they referred to that, but players only.
Yeah.
Players only, where they feel like they can say to each other, just like siblings would say to each other, some things that they
Right.
might not say to the parent or the guardian, right? That they can have their discussions about what is and is not working.
I know.
So
So
some
that
of
brings
that
me to the
gap like
next
needs to be,
needs
like
to
in some
be
ways
there.
it needs to be there.
Interesting. I know my kids have a group and I feel very left out. I would love
Yes.
to know what they are talking about without us, the parents. But
Ah,
it's true. There's something in
absolutely.
that peer connection that is really important that it
Yes.
needs its own space as well. So that's actually a lovely thought as well. Very interesting. So where, if you're the leader, which group are you going to be part of, you know?
Right.
And that
Yes.
can feel incredibly lonely. So I think, should we maybe look at how do we shift this
Yes.
narrative a little bit, the tension, the loneliness, the who do I really speak to? How can I really show up?
Yeah.
And I think it's really important, and we mentioned it a little bit before, but it's really finding your real circle, finding the people. It's the when, what, how, and I don't know what I had four of those before, but who.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
really believe that it's not about, okay, I'm just going to be open. It's actually really choosing the people that you can feel comfortable with to open up when you've had a hard day or when you made a mistake or you made the wrong decision and there was a big, what you call like an oopsie or whatever, failure or whatever it was, something didn't
Yeah.
work out the way you wanted. Find people that you can talk to about it because I think that's really, really important.
Yes. And as leaders, you're gonna have to probably design this, create it.
Yes,
Because this is
absolutely.
a phenomenon, loneliness at the top, because it doesn't get organically created for us.
It
So
is
we
not
gotta
gonna.
be in.
Don't wait for it. Yes.
Yeah, don't wait for it. Intentionally build this circle. It could be your counterparts. It could be leaders at your level. It could be other trusted leaders or mentors inside of your organization,
Outside of your
outside of your
organization.
organization. It can be friends and family too,
For
as
sure.
well. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm dating myself with this analogy, but
Okay.
I call it the A team. Did you ever watch the A team
Yes.
series? The A team. And you know how there were four of them, and each one had a very specific role and a specific part to play with their own personality and their own style. And I think you've got to
I
build
don't
your A
remember it as well as you do, Daphna. I like this. Okay. Yeah.
regardless, build your A team, your
Right.
outstanding A
Yep.
team that's going to be different people for different purposes or different roles. So
Yeah.
have your coach, have your trusted advisor, have your mentor, have your
Yeah.
partner, have your all the people that are going to help you feel supported, develop and critically challenge your thinking when
Yes.
required, help you to just vent and offload if that's what you need, and share some of the emotional burdens, and help you brainstorm to think
Yeah.
through some of your very important decisions that you need to make.
Very well said, Daphna. And I would add only that make sure at least one, maybe a
Mhm.
couple of those folks are ones that you can reach out to when you're feeling messy.
Right.
When you're really in the thick of it, you could be upset or have some emotion flowing in that moment. Who is someone that you can trust in those moments?
Yeah.
That know that aren't going to think, "Oh, Amy's just a disaster." Well, I know that this is just a moment.
Yeah.
Right? And I
Yeah.
can support her in it.
I think that as we're talking about this, I'm getting the feeling that this is a difficult conversation because I think there are two elements to this. And I know that a lot of the executives and CEOs that I work with have their A team in place. They've got a really good
Okay.
number of advisors,
Yep.
that they will go to.
Advisory
And I've got
board.
a
Yep.
really interesting, and not even the board of directors or the official advisory board. It's an unofficial advisory
Nice.
board because
Yep.
they still have to maintain a certain image or level of composure and competence towards their own board. So it's
Yeah.
people they can go to outside to discuss dilemmas such as hiring or decision making or strategy
Yeah.
or anything like that. But that is very kind of professional and expert
Hmm.
level. And
Hmm.
I'm just hearing some of my clients say, but I don't need therapy and I don't need to talk about my emotions and I don't need
Oh,
to, you know. So I'm saying sometimes it's important to have, like I said, the A team, have someone on your A team that is also that person that you can speak to when you are feeling down, as you said, when things haven't gone well, and you can just offload and share that without worrying about making a bad impression or
yeah.
what they're going to think about you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or you can drop that mask selectively,
exactly. Selectively, that's good. Do
intentionally. Yeah.
that intentionally and selectively. I
In
know
that
that
moment.
Simon Sinek, who's really, I love his work and his approach, talks about people you can cry with. And he was incredibly open and vulnerable in an interview I heard with him, where he said he's got a few really good friends that he can pick up the phone and say, I just need to talk to you.
Yeah.
Something happened and I need to let off some steam and I need to cry. And I know like bringing up the whole crying thing is going to generate a
Yeah.
whole lot of, other.
But show emotion, be able to show emotion
Exactly. Be
of
able to
whatever kind it
and be
is.
yourself and be real. And as you said, let down that mask a little bit.
Yeah. I want to recap and then add one more. These ways that we've been talking about shifting from isolation to connection. You've said find your circle, design it intentionally, design that trust in our world, drop the mask selectively. And then we'd also say slow down.
I think that is key. In the busyness of our day to day, it's so easy to just move on to the next thing and
Yep.
ignore what's going on and just stay busy.
Keep reacting, keep reacting, keep reacting. But are we checking in with ourselves? Because we need to do that to
Yeah.
slow down and see where are we
Yes.
energetically? Do we feel like there's no one to talk to or no one gets me in this moment? Do we feel like we've given all the support today and haven't had any supportive moments for ourselves?
Yeah. And I want to offer a reframe for our listeners as
Yeah.
well. I think this is really important. I think for me, this is the crux of this whole topic. And I know we discussed it as well, is
Yeah.
that this loneliness and the symptoms and what it looks like and what it feels like is actually a signal. It's a signal, not a flaw. It's a signal that comes to tell you, here you are. You are at this place. You're feeling these feelings because you've reached something, you have accomplished something. And maybe it's a sign that something is required of you, whether it's a learning or something that you need to be doing differently or something that you need to be paying attention to in terms of who do you need to bring into your circle now. It really is all part of your evolution and growth process as a leader. So see it
Mhm.
as a signal and ask it, what is it asking of us now, this feeling? What is this feeling requiring or wanting from us? And then we can really take it to that next level of, okay, what is the signaling to me?
Yes, I love this, Daphna, and it's such a powerful reframe. It's a signal, not a flaw, because really, if we're growing in our leadership and we're stepping into one of those transitions that we talked about earlier, or a new level of responsibility, there is going to be, by design, times where we don't have the structures and the systems and the people in place to best support us
Yeah,
in those moments.
by
Like
design,
it's
by
going to
definition.
happen. Yeah,
By
there's going to be those gaps as we grow. And how do we make sure you got to intentionally set up something in those moments. Otherwise, it's going to become naturally isolating. And it might
yeah,
for a time, but then how do you reframe and shift to those connecting activities?
exactly, exactly. And to really maybe even take it a step higher and say, okay,
Yeah.
I'm welcoming this now. I'm welcoming this as part of my journey,
Yeah.
This is uncomfortable. It's unpleasant.
Here it
I'm
is.
recognizing it. I'm noticing it. And it's really a part of the journey. I love what you said. It's a given. It's a given. As you go higher up in the layers of an organizational structure, you are going to feel it more and more. By design, it's just how it is, but it indicates you've achieved stuff. You've reached a level of responsibility that is high. You are successful. So that comes with some stuff that you need to notice, acknowledge, and really give space for and understand what's required to manage it.
Yeah. So it's a question and a moment of stillness that we would
Yes,
invite you all to sit in. You can hit pause right now or after you finish listening to this podcast episode, right? What are you experiencing? Is there loneliness existing right now? Acknowledge the growth that indicates,
and
right? Yeah,
ask.
and choose.
What is it asking of us?
Yeah,
What is the learning here? And who do I need to bring in? I think that is a big question. Who do I need to bring in? It's a moment of reconnection, and it could be reconnection with someone else. I guess it could be a moment of reconnection with ourselves as well. Do I
yeah,
need to bring myself in? Do I need to take a moment just to do something that will make me feel more connected to the leader that I am, the person that I am, the life that I'm living?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Beautiful, beautifully said. We all are the only ones that can answer those questions in the moment,
For ourselves.
truly. Yeah,
Yeah,
we've given some guidance here today. But know that this is a phenomenon that happens in leadership.
completely normal, completely normal. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, please share it, leave a comment, pass this episode on, and let us know what other topics you'd like us to talk about on future episodes of Unfiltered. Let's keep this dialogue going.
Yes, we would love to. And until next time, stay courageous, stay curious, and stay unfiltered.